Well, for me, it was frightening on a couple of levels because I've never, in all the time I've been coming to London, and
They opened Sammy Davis Jr.'s vault after 30 years, and everyone froze. For decades, rumors surrounded the life of Sammy Davis Jr. Few entertainers in American history lived a life as extraordinary, complicated, and mysterious as is. He was a singer, dancer, actor, comedian, civil rights advocate, and one of the most recognizable stars of the 20th century. Yet even after his death in 1990, many believed there were chapters of his story that had never been fully told. Then came the discovery that reignited interest in his legacy. 30 years after his passing, a collection of long-forgotten personal belongings was finally examined by historians and researchers. What they found wasn't a treasure chest filled with gold or priceless jewels. It was something far more powerful. It was a time capsule of a remarkable life. Letters, photographs, recordings, personal notes, and private keepsakes offered a rare glimpse into the mind of a man who spent most of his life in the spotlight, while hiding some of his deepest struggles in the shadows. And when the contents were revealed, many people were stunned into silence. To understand why this discovery mattered so much, you first have to understand who Sammy Davis Jr. really was. Born in Harlem, New York, in 1925, Sammy entered show business before he could even read. His father was an entertainer, and from an incredibly young age Sammy was traveling the country performing on stage. While most children spent their days in classrooms, Sammy spent his childhood in theaters, learning songs, dances, impressions, and comedy routines. His talent seemed almost supernatural. Audiences couldn't believe that such a young performer could command a stage with such confidence. By the time he reached adulthood, he had mastered skills that many performers spend entire lifetimes trying to perfect. Singing, dancing, acting, impressions, musicianship. He seemed capable of doing everything. Yet behind the applause was a much harder reality. America in the 1930s and 1940s was deeply divided by race. Sammy often found himself welcomed on stage but rejected off it. He could entertain thousands of people in a theater and then be denied service at a nearby restaurant. He learned early that success did not protect him from prejudice. Those experiences shaped him. Friends later said that Sammy developed an incredible ability to hide pain behind a smile. He understood that every performance was more than entertainment. It was an opportunity to challenge assumptions and break barriers. By the 1950s, his career exploded. Nightclubs, television appearances, Broadway productions, and Hollywood films transformed him into one of the most famous entertainers in the country. He became closely associated with Frank Sinatra and the legendary Rat Pack, a group whose influence on American entertainment remains legendary. Together, they represented glamour, style, and success. But even at the height of his fame, Sammy often carried burdens few people knew about. One of the most emotional discoveries among his preserved belongings reportedly involved personal correspondence. Letters revealed a man who constantly wrestled with questions of identity, acceptance, and belonging. Publicly, Sammy appeared fearless. Privately, he sometimes wondered whether he truly fit anywhere. As a black entertainer who later converted to Judaism and moved within circles that often excluded people like him, Sammy occupied a unique place in American culture. The letters painted a portrait of someone who never stopped searching for understanding. Some messages were filled with optimism and gratitude. Others revealed frustration, loneliness, and exhaustion. Reading them decades later felt less like studying a celebrity and more like meeting a real human being. Researchers were particularly moved by notes describing the emotional toll of fame. Many stars dream of recognition. Sammy achieved more recognition than most people could imagine. Yet success often came with sacrifices. There were missed family moments, lost friendships, constant travel, and endless pressure to maintain a public image. Among the discovered items were photographs never widely seen by the public. These images showed Sammy away from the stage lights. Instead of tuxedos and sold-out audiences, they captured quiet moments with friends, family gatherings, rehearsals, and ordinary afternoons. The contrast was striking. The public knew the larger-than-life performer. The photographs revealed the man. In one image, Sammy appeared relaxed and carefree, laughing with loved ones. In another, he sat alone reading. These simple snapshots reminded viewers that behind every icon is a person whose life extends beyond headlines and television appearances. But perhaps the most fascinating materials were the recordings. Sammy was known to document parts of his life. Some recordings contain reflections on his career and observations about the entertainment industry. Listening to them decades later felt like hearing history speak directly. His voice carried wisdom earned through triumph and hardship. He spoke about perseverance, about prejudice, about ambition, about the price of success. What struck listeners most was his honesty. There was no performance, no audience to impress, no cameras rolling, just Sammy speaking openly about his experiences. For many historians, these recordings became invaluable because they provided context that official interviews often lacked. Public interviews frequently require careful answers. Private recordings revealed genuine thoughts, and Sammy's genuine thoughts were powerful. One recurring theme was gratitude. Despite the obstacles he faced, he repeatedly expressed appreciation for the opportunities he had received. He never forgot how unlikely his journey had been. A child performer from Harlem had become an international star. That achievement never stopped amazing him. Yet another theme appeared just as frequently: resilience. Sammy's life included enormous setbacks. He endured discrimination throughout his career. He survived a devastating car accident that cost him an eye. He faced criticism for personal choices. He battled health problems. He encountered financial difficulties. Yet he continued performing. Again and again, he found ways to move forward. The items discovered after 3 decades reinforced that resilience. Instead of focusing on bitterness, Sammy often focused on possibility. Instead of dwelling on what had been taken from him, he concentrated on what remained. That attitude may explain why so many people continue to admire him today. The discovery also renewed public interest in his role in the civil rights era. Long before diversity became a common conversation in Hollywood, Sammy was pushing against barriers that seemed impossible to overcome. Every major achievement represented progress not only for himself, but also for future generations of performers. His success opened doors. His courage challenged expectations. His visibility forced audiences to confront their assumptions. Many younger fans learning about him for the first time were surprised by how much influence he had on modern entertainment. Without pioneers like Sammy Davis Jr., the industry might look very different today. As news of the findings spread, reactions poured in from historians, entertainers, and longtime fans. Many described feeling emotional while seeing pieces of his life preserved so carefully. Others expressed sadness, not because of what was discovered, but because it reminded them how quickly time passes. A generation that once watched Sammy dominate stages and television screens is gradually disappearing. These materials offered a bridge between eras, allowing younger audiences to connect with someone they may know only through old recordings. The collection became more than a historical archive. It became a reminder that legends are human, a reminder that fame does not eliminate struggle, a reminder that courage often happens quietly, behind closed doors, long before the public sees the results. Perhaps that is why so many people reportedly fell silent when the contents were examined. They expected celebrity memorabilia. They found humanity. They expected artifacts. They found a life story. And what a life story it was. Sammy Davis Jr. spent decades entertaining millions. He sang songs that became classics. He starred in films and television shows. He made audiences laugh. He dazzled crowds with performances that seemed effortless. But the materials preserved from his private world revealed something even more remarkable. They revealed determination. They revealed vulnerability. They revealed hope. Most importantly, they revealed a man who refused to let adversity define him. Today, more than 3 decades after his death, Sammy Davis Jr.'s legacy remained secure, not because he was perfect, not because he never failed, but because he continued moving forward despite every obstacle placed in his path. The discovery of those forgotten belongings reminded the world of that truth. Behind every award was a struggle. Behind every standing ovation was a sacrifice. Behind every smile was a story. And after 30 years, those stories finally had a chance to be heard again. For many people, that was the most shocking revelation of all. The real treasure hidden away for decades was never the objects themselves. It was the man they helped us remember. A performer, a pioneer, a survivor, and one of the most extraordinary entertainers America has ever produced. Even now, his voice echoes through history, reminding us that talent can inspire, courage can change the world, and a single life can leave an impact that lasts far beyond a lifetime. That is what people truly discovered when they opened Sammy Davis Jr.'s vault after 30 years. Not a mystery, not a scandal, but a legacy. And for a moment, everyone froze because they realized they were looking at the story of a man who had already become immortal.